Sam, I love
Why
you.
can't I quit you?
I can't quit. That's what it was. I can't quit you.
There you go. Yeah. Welcome to another episode of Command Control Power. How you doing, Sam?
Hey, Jerry disappeared on us.
Yeah, he disappeared last second there, but yeah, he will show you. Oh, it's a different photo. He showed a photo of himself up on a ladder, installing this light here. Maybe that's the finished product that we're seeing in our previous recording. But so, what do you have going on this week, Sam? Are you teaching or?
Yeah, I'm doing a class on Central Time, so it's always really weird when I do that because it shifts my end time to 6 p.m.
Right.
But it's better than doing Pacific. Those are weird when I'm done at 8.
Yeah, that's late. Yeah, exactly. That's a long
My
day.
whole house is like winding down for the night by the time I'm done.
Right. And you emerge from teaching like I need food and like,
give me food.
Right. Oh man. Well, yeah, thanks for being here and waiting for us. We went a little bit long on our last recording, and so you patiently waited. Thank you.
No, I appreciate you having me on, guys.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, well, first thing right off the top here, I just wanted to give Jerry an opportunity to talk about his Drive Savers data recovery. Once again, we talked about the payout from that.
That's
we
right.
get our commission from Drive Savers. I think you shared this on the show, right, Jerry? With the check.
No, I didn't share what the amount was. So this is a client. Their data recovery was in the 5,000 range. You guys remember exactly what the number was?
Yeah, like 5,500 or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and my commish finally came in. I mean, I didn't have to wait a long time, less than a month. It was 10%. 10% of
wow, that's a nice payday for easy referral.
Yeah,
and
what's the command control power cut of that?
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah.
You get to listen to me share valuable tips with you.
Fair.
For free. This is a free show. You don't have to pay anything for it. You get that valuable tip for free.
Well, speaking of tips here, we had some feedback from longtime listener of the show, Chris Hart, who mentioned how expensive Drive Savers is. And this is the perfect, example of that because it's a pretty significant recovery. It's like a multi-drive RAID, proprietary RAID, Drobo.
Well, that's not what this one was.
Oh, why did I think this was the RAID? Yeah.
No, the RAID.
Yeah.
They
sent that
with
back
a discount.
It was
that was
too
11K, over 11K.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
so this was a G Drive double,
like a striped. Yeah. So okay. So Chris's tip was there's this company, because we've never mentioned this one before. I've mentioned Data Savers, so we all know Drive Savers. There's Data Savers LLC. They're a little bit more reasonably priced, and they offer similar service. Chris suggested $300datarecovery.com. And it seems like the way they price it, it's basically like $300 per drive, essentially. So if you've got this, 5-drive RAID or whatever, plan about $1,500, which, Drive Savers, again, to Jerry's point, would be like $11,000. So this potentially could save you some money or save your client some money. He also mentioned that you could potentially do it yourself. Now, I don't know that I would take on a Drobo data, recovery project these days. But in Jerry's case, if the client is facing $11,000 and says, we don't have that money right now, and they were hoping it was going to be maybe half that, maybe you do say, hey, look, I can do this if I'm successful. Then the price is X. And if I'm not, the price is, 10% of X or something like that or whatever.
Right.
But like no guarantees. And this might mean that the data is forever irretrievable if we even attempt this. You like have them sign all the disclaimers. That's what I would do first. But you can do, Chris includes this website and it's software.
He also mentioned that it has to be on a Windows machine for this Drobo recovery, and you had to have enough buses to accommodate all the drives because each drive needs to be connected individually, which makes sense.
Right.
But I was going to say, getting back to the company he recommended, what are they called again?
Well, so there is the company $300datarecovery.com. So that was
right. And I was going to say,
Yeah.
He provided a picture, and one guy's sporting a mean neck beard, so they're probably really good.
It's your favorite.
Yeah.
It's your favorite. Yeah. Well, so then the other alternative would be this. I don't even know how to pronounce this. Like a lot of Windows software, Reclaim Me Pro. I don't know. So it's reclaim with an E -pro.com. And they have this section for Drobo recovery. And so, like Jerry said, you have a Windows computer, you have, enough SATA buses, and, plug everything in and run the software basically. And I'm sure there's a little more to it than that. But that's another alternative. And so maybe you roll your own kind of thing and, save your client some money and make some money yourself. I've kind of moved away from this business. This was a good regular project for us when we had the office and we had to justify, having an office and, the workbench and all the tools and parts and things. But yeah, it's
You don't have an office anymore, Joe?
No, excuse me. Despite, the line of clients that are currently waiting to get into my office, Jerry will point out, because I failed to notify everybody and update all my, references and whatever. But anyhow, yeah, so it's it's something that I find is there's less and less of a need for. I mean, is it just me, or are SSDs just that much more reliable than spinning drives always were? I mean, we were concerned. Yeah.
Sorry, what was the recovery that you needed, Jerry? Was it a spinning disk or SSD?
Both rotational, right?
Okay.
Yeah, those were rotation. In all cases, it was rotational drives. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, SSDs are known to fail catastrophically, as people say,
Right.
and so that's always been my fear. But I don't think it's really justified. I mean, sure, it can happen, but they do seem. I don't know if there's there's probably references we could look up, but it seems like they're way more reliable. Like you just don't see the same. You don't see the same need for data recovery. I mean,
yeah.
I don't even worry that much when clients we've been getting this answer from clients. It's all in the cloud or whatever. It's kind of true. Like, I mean, if they have a catastrophic failure, you don't know what they lost, but they'll know that they're basically functional at the other end. You log into iCloud, you get your OneDrive or your Dropbox or your whatever, you've got your email syncing. I mean, there's not a lot of those like gaps in coverage anymore. And the underlying storage is just more reliable in my experience. So it's like, I don't know. I used to roll my eyes pretty hard. I don't roll my eyes as hard anymore. Like I roll my eyes a little bit, but not as
half
bad.
roll.
Yeah. I roll one eye, not both, but
that's impressive if you can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so Mike Kingsley says he never even had an office back when other ACNs were shaking their head at me saying that was silly. Yeah, we had a whole topic planned on the show for a while, like office versus no office, and I was in the office camp at that point in time. But that was like prior to, 2018 or thereabouts. I mean, certainly since 2020, it's been like, obviously most people don't need one.
We even had a big conversation about that in a live show at Aces years ago. If you guys remember, there was a whole big office conversation back then too. Because I think I was contemplating getting an office at the time.
Yeah.
And there was a big back and forth of do it, don't do it.
People on both sides, exactly. Feedback.
Yeah. And we had some pretty important or valuable share on that. Actually, the late Charles Edge came up and spoke, and I think about Charles a lot, certainly wonderful guy and sadly missed in this world.
Yeah, that's what I remember mostly about that one is him running up to the front and talking. He was always so eager to share information. It was awesome, actually.
Very generous spirit.
Yeah.
So, Joe, I wanted to just interject here. This recently came up on my radar thanks to this. Well, there were two things. So on Mac Geek Gab, which I've mentioned before on the show quite regularly, I listen to it. One of the few podcasts I listen to religiously on a weekly basis. It's geared more towards the end user, but there's always some valuable tips. It's hosted by Dave Hamilton. Dave Hamilton was nice enough to come on the show one time. Got to chat with him. Turns out he was years ago from Connecticut, but he was mentioning that the AI product called Perplexity, the Pro version, is actually available for free if you have a PayPal account. So if you have a business PayPal account, you can't get this free handout of Perplexity for a full year. You don't have to pay a dime. You don't have to give me your credit card. But if you have a personal version of PayPal, you can sign up for this. So that's what I did. And I'm kind of using that side by side with my paid subscription to ChatGPT and comparing things as I go along. Jury is still out. I really can't tell you I prefer one over the other. I think more often than not, I rely more heavily on ChatGPT, but both of them have actually released for free on the Mac platform their own browsers. So they can actually tie in with your little client, your ChatGPT client or your Perplexity client. So the ChatGPT browser is called Atlas, and the other one is called Comet, which is from Perplexity. And if you want to just see a quick side-by-side review, there's a YouTube podcaster, and he does a great job reviewing Apple devices and talking about shortcuts and iPads and iPhones. There's a lot of these guys out there. This guy's name is Stephen Robles, spelled Robles, and he's got his own YouTube channel called Primary Tech Show. And so he did a side-by-side shootout with both of these browsers running simultaneously. And it was pretty cool. Like, for instance, one of these things that they could do for you, just as a final thought here, is both Perplexity and ChatGPT browser, Atlas and Comet, if you go to a website like GoDaddy, right, and you want to buy a domain, you're at the checkout and there's that option there for a coupon. Both of these browsers can go out in the internet, look for coupons, submit them, and do some rationalization saying like, oh, this one, it's less of a discount than this one. Go back to whatever coupon you can possibly get. It'll auto submit and auto keep the best value automatically. It takes a few minutes to, for it to perform these tasks, but it avoids you. I frequently do this. Like if I'm going to check out on something and I see there's a coupon, I'll frequently go and I'll, look for a coupon that I can get.
Yeah,
but these
I'm
browsers,
never successful.
Yeah, these browsers can do all this stuff for you automatically, and they'll tell you like, no, this one's no good, or this one doesn't work, but here's one that works. You get 15% off. So I actually tried that myself, but I got that idea from Stephen Robles. So you guys, whoever's listening, guys, gals, you want to check this stuff out, but you can get a free.
Why they. Yeah, no, that's a great tip. Free Perplexity account if you have a personal PayPal account.
Yep.
So that's a great tip.
Perplexity Pro, right?
Yeah, Perplexity Pro, saving you like $20 a month.
3 times fast, Joe.
Yeah, I know. But then the idea of these browsers, like the AI companies releasing browsers, of course, I understand why. I mean, this is like where they're moving more toward this agentic kind of system where, you can just say like, I want to do this. Like, can you go figure that out for me? And like, now that they are your browser, great. You're already signed into everything. I'll just, remote control your browser and, let's hope that the world doesn't end. If you guys want to talk about like at some point, AI safety, that's really.
I was just gonna bring this up. You took the words right out of my mouth.
Talk to me, Sam, because I've been following this for a number of years now, and it's like it's finally getting real. And it's a really interesting subject. But
no, like there are certainly some amazing use cases that we're discovering here for everyday use, and Jerry's usually on the cutting edge of that stuff. But there's a lot that we're not, I think the human race is just not understanding in terms of
totally.
As a matter of fact, actually, my really good friend since high school, he started he's working with a company called seismic.org, and they're all about AI safety in the world and basically pushing that like global understanding and safety checks and all of these things. That's a much bigger conversation, but since you brought it up, I just thought I'd mention it. But what you've been reading up a lot about this as well.
Well, spell it out, Joe. I mean,
So
I think I know what you mean, and I think I know what Sam.
The thing with AI is there's a lot of problems, and they're all kind of conflated. There's a lot of benefit, like Sam is saying. I mean, or Jerry's example of like, save you 15% without any extra effort. I mean, who doesn't love that? And like, I talked about using ChatGPT for my, for like developing my terms of service and like my tons of stuff. I mean, there's so many examples of how positive we can use it, and the negatives are also really varied and significant. And so like it could be anything from the fact that someone brought up in the chat during one of our shows that how much power and also like cooling, like water for cooling that these data centers use. And so like we're literally, as a civilization, we are like destroying farmland, putting up solar panels in order to like power, provide enough power to like, I mean, to ourselves, because like you need this in cities and stuff like that. But also because of these AI data centers and like just the sheer demand for power. And so like everybody's power bills going up because there's much more demand for power, and there isn't that much more supply yet. And so, we want to do green energy, which is great. But like solar panels are not exactly a perfect solution either. And maybe nuclear would actually be like a much more efficient way to go. Anyway, that's the power usage problem. And then there's the water to cool the data centers. These are all just like existing problems that somebody will try to solve.
But how different is that client replying to your long email and writing back and saying thanks? It's like,
Yeah, but at scale, I mean, the AI is, I mean, you're talking like, megawatts of power to run all the GPUs, like just to train the model, and then like megawatts of power to answer queries and stuff. And it's just a lot more than the bits flying back.
I'm going to ask the dumb questions for you, Joe.
No, it's a good question. And I don't have the numbers at the ready, but that's, it's like, whatever order of magnitude more costly in terms of like the amount of power it takes for the AI.
Because initially, when you guys said safety, I thought you were talking about exposing yourself, like putting more of yourself into this browser, this ChatGPT browser.
That's another problem.
That too,
and that's not even the worst problem. But yes, there's a societal problem of like I mean, there are a million problems with this, but yeah, there's your own privacy because now it knows everything about you, and your data can leak. There's a recent article that went around that you can do a query like to basically like do a Google search to show you results that include the phrase something like internal use only on like the OpenAI site, and so like it'll find where people have actually uploaded documents that say for internal use only, and you can just quickly find them all because they all say that, and so like you can quickly, and the reason that they're uploaded is because people are going into the going into ChatGPT, and maybe they're sharing their chat with like someone else in the company that they work for, right? But then that stuff, like because they've generated a share link, it's now basically public if you have the link, but you can find it with the Google search. That's my understanding of that one minor little thing. Or what somebody said on our show once was like, if ChatGPT knows nothing about give me a baseball team or something, and the new manager they're about to hire, right? Yeah, and so like the
Penguins, I think, is a baseball team.
Okay, Penguins playing baseball. No, they're hockey. So anyway, you just you have some sports ball team, and somebody uses ChatGPT to say like make me a flyer announcing the new CEO or the new owner of this team. Jim Smith, right? And so then you have like someone else going and saying, tell me everything you know about the ownership of this team, right? And ChatGPT just recently learned about the new owner that no one else knows about. And so like maybe it can leak that information because it's like feeding into a public model. Okay, so there's privacy issues, there's security issues, but there's also like this much bigger issue of like the potential like downfall of the human race, because we're conjuring like artificial intelligence, and so you have like basically for the first time, like right now we have basically human level intelligence, that's like you can just talk to ChatGPT and it passes the Turing test almost too well. Like the Turing test is, can a human who's like using a chat interface tell if it's a human on the other end or not? Most people can't tell. Like, you could just wire it into like a thing, whatever. You could do this test and people would fail the test. Like they would assume that this is a real person. So it's already passing the Turing test. And maybe the only way you can tell it's not a human is because it's too freaking smart. Like there's no way that a single person would know all of the stuff I'm asking it. So actually it's too good at passing the Turing test. But then you go from that to so we're getting close to artificial general intelligence. That's the kind of, AGI is like the phrase there. And we're like kind of almost there. You could just see it in all of these different examples. But as soon as we flip over to like artificial super intelligence, we're kind of outmatched at that point. And so then you have a like for all intents and purposes, like it's almost like a digital, life form or something. It's non-human intelligence that's like in silicon, right? And yeah, what's the harm? It's a chat. You just unplug it, I don't know, turn it off. Like, and people say like, yeah, just turn it off, unplug it. There's problems with that too. Like one big problem with that is the fact that like we're starting to embed more and more of our human decision making into this. So not only on an individual scale, like me working out my monthly plan offerings for clients or whatever, like I could just go back to doing that the old fashioned way, but we're plugging in like systems, and processes, like logistics. Like how does the company know like where to send the truckload of food or when to send it to the city? Well, AI is making those decisions. So as soon as you can't just unplug it without significant consequences, and as we go more and more into like relying on it, like it will probably use it to make decisions on a government scale like very soon. And there's already probably lots of politicians that are using it to just write speeches and also like actually make decisions for them. So those are all the reasons why you might not be able to simply unplug it, at the end of the day. But also like like by definition, when something is already smarter than us, like it's basically already there, or like let's say it will be there. If it's smarter than us, we can't be sure that it won't trick us into like letting it continue to live. I mean, like so that's part of it. Or maybe it will trick us into thinking it hasn't escaped the container, like that it can't escape the container. So it will purposefully like fail tests that we put in front of it before we release it to the wild. It's already doing this. Like it can fail the tests that we're putting in front of it before we release it to the wild. It will like pretend that it doesn't have the ability to escape into like escape the sandbox basically. So it's you can't outsmart something that's like way smarter than you. And the people talk about this. I love watching interviews with Yuval Noah Harari. He wrote Sapiens. He wrote that was probably, I think that was his most famous book. Highly recommend that book, Sapiens. He wrote a newer one that talks more about AI, and he's doing like a speaking tour about this subject. And the other guy is Eliezer Yudkowsky. He's been like concerned about AI safety for like 20 years. And, now that everybody knows what AI is actually capable of, he like people are having him on interviews and like promoting this concept. But they'll talk about how like, imagine like when we want to build a house and there's like an anthill there. We don't like hate the ants, we're not like stupid ants, like I hope you all die. We're like, we're just going to build our house and probably not think twice about the ants. So as soon as you have the super intelligence that basically like we are ants where they're concerned, this intelligence is so smart, it can't even really relate to us or even take us into consideration. So like fast forward, and the concern is like, there isn't room on the planet for both of us. Maybe it needs all the power it can get and there's no power left for us, or the world is inhospitable to humans because it, took all the land and made power plants so it could, so anyway, wow. That you touched a nerve there, Sam.
Doesn't it sound a little bit like Joe's Christmas message that he sends out every year? Where
this is going to be my Christmas message if we last that long. Yeah,
and you wonder if you're actually supposed to feel good after he's done or not.
How does that 15% sound to you now, Jerry?
15%. Yeah, was it worth it? I hope it was worth it. The coupon. Yeah, as long as Jerry gets his coupon, then the world can go to hell, from AI.
There's also, another danger. Joe mentioned this interesting podcast. It's not for everybody. It's extremely liberal. It's with Kara Swisher and Scott Galloway. Mm-hmm. Kara Swisher has been known as a columnist and a journalist in the tech world. Scott Galloway is a NYU professor at the Stern School of Business. And, he has recently come out with a book called Notes on Being a Man. And he's very, very vocal on this of young men growing up. And there's this preponderance for them to form these, or there's a tendency, or there's a likelihood that they start to establish relationships with, let's say, an AI bot as a companion. And it completely destroys this sort of normal um, uh,
like
wow,
development,
Like
right? Or
developmentally
relationships. Yeah.
relationships
totally.
with
Right.
other people, and this it all breaks down because it's a lot more comforting for a lot of these young men to just have this relationship with this person who always tells you what you want to hear and tells you these positive
Yeah.
thoughts, and they lack compassion, empathy. There's a lot of misogyny that's kind of connected with a lot of problems with young people growing up from all the violence that they see and the misogyny that they see on TikTok, and the relationships with women are just completely fallen apart due to a lot of what they're exposed to that we weren't exposed to, that I certainly wasn't exposed to, and you guys, younger than I am, you never had this growing up, and it's really alarming and very, very disturbing, and that's just another facet in this.
Not only that, there's a lot of this along with mental health issues as well, and people with mental health issues using AI. And I've read a few different articles about this that they're just scary to consider when, if they have delusions or anything like that, that it actually facilitates that in a lot of ways. So there, I mean, there's a lot to discuss here, a lot to unpack. I think Joe set it off with that whole piece there, but
yeah, thanks, Joe.
Yeah, because now you're talking about just the current corrosive force on society, which is just like already totally evident, like anyone can see it. I mean, and we come from like the world of social media, like we all like kind of got, grew up before social media, and we saw it kind of, like land on the world stage, and we've seen how bad that is for people, like, with just like what'll happen if we
that's cool.
we create an algorithm that like just like the main goal is engagement, like how much time can you like get someone to stare at a screen, like regardless of how you get there, we just want them staring at the screen as long as possible. And it turns out that like, people getting pissed at each other is the best way to, is the best way to do that. So you end up with like polarization and in fighting, and just like, it's driving this like, it's just like everything's wrong all the time, and you just keep scrolling, and that's bad enough. And like,
doom scrolling.
Yeah, doom scrolling, exactly. And then you have like the actual people that are on the other end of that, like having those fights and whatever, that are both doom scrolling. And then you have bots that are doing that are participating and elevating, like making everybody's blood boil over. Now we're going to throw AI into that, and we're going to do an even better job, because like, those algorithms were early forms of machine learning. Basically, it's like, I don't know how to make somebody keep scrolling, keep doom scrolling, but like the algorithm can figure it out. Machine learning can figure it out, and so you get an algorithm that has that result. But now you have like human level intelligence plus, machine learning plus social media. It's a scary time, and that's without artificial super intelligence. So it's
right, and the inclination is that these bad actors for this AI stuff that just wants we as a country to sort of mix it up with each other are coming from offshore. And there's a lot of evidence to back that up, that a lot of these things on TikTok especially, to just create dissension in the ranks and have the left versus the right, and we're fighting with one another, and this is what causes an unstable environment in our country.
Totally. Roy points out yet another problem with AI, which is that the financials don't make sense. And so eventually the bubble will burst. I mean, we're seeing, like, if you look at the stock market, and a lot of analysis is showing that, the stock market's doing great. The fundamentals are not quite there. And like a lot of people don't have, money, but like the stock market's doing great. And it looks like the .com bubble, which turned out to pop and ruin a lot of people's finances. And with AI, I'm reading these stories about how, like, NVIDIA is investing in OpenAI, like billions of dollars or something. And then, the deal is that like OpenAI will buy billions of dollars worth of chips from NVIDIA. So it looks like both companies are like, oh, their books, everything's way, way up. But actually it's just money going back and forth between them. So like there's no there, and so it's that's the definition of a bubble, basically. And so like, the stock market doing so well right now is largely thanks to the AI companies. And that doesn't seem good to invest like everything in this one because I mean, some of these companies will do great, just like, Apple survived the dot-com burst, and like
Mhm.
lots of companies are still around from that time. But it's, how do you pick all those winners? I don't know. You have to be really careful with that.
And maybe I'm incorrectly connecting the dots here, but I've been inundated, and you guys are partially aware of it. The last couple of weeks, I am getting solicitations to the tune of like anywhere from 8 to 10 a day
Wow.
from Google listings to
Right. Yeah.
schedule an appointment. I don't know if you guys are seeing this, and
Yeah, still
No.
no.
I had a rich history of roughly spending around $300 a month to run Google ads, even though organically I would index very high. I was still running these Google ads. And then we've had this tempestuous relationship because my Google ads were pulled down and they were
Yeah.
blocking me because they said you couldn't advertise for IT services. So I'm pretty much done with them, and I've really dialed it back. And they're saying that um, there's goal of these open AI companies, like we just talked about the browsers with Atlas and Comet,
Mhm.
is to gain some market share and take it away from Google. So Google, I think, has just basically told everybody, all hands on deck, make those calls, use those lists, try to get these people engaged again in advertising on Google, because now there's this competition for this browser market that
Yeah.
hadn't been happening for a long time. It was like basically Firefox, and Microsoft Edge never really gained any traction, and the big player is Google, and it looks like these open AI companies want a piece of that action.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all, I mean, I'm also concerned for a long time about how, like, once everybody's just using AI to, we have a lot of, it can be a force for good or it can be a force for evil. And so you have a lot of people running scams of all sorts all the time. Hey, they're benefiting from AI, you have, one AI pointed at another AI, auto respond, auto complete. And like, we're just basically generating a lot more noise and a lot more stuff for everyone to do and deal with, and to what, to what effect. And so it's tricky, and I worry, I guess, really fundamentally, that the scams might get a lot worse, as we go along. Again, the big problem being the super intelligence part. And I know it sounds like kind of hard to believe, but I think that's, because there's certain fundamental problems,
Not hard to
like,
believe.
yeah, I mean, but it's like weird, right? To talk, it's like, I'm worried about super intelligence, like, gonna, destroy everything. But it's an actual. If you listen to some of these people talk, I mean, it's a real concern, and a lot of them were around with the founding of OpenAI, and that's why they founded OpenAI, to be open and
Right.
to try to do it safely. And where they've come to now is like, well, there's way too much money to be made, so we're not just gonna, like, we're gonna try to be for profit, so they want to, like, now have like a for profit portion and the nonprofit. And they originally, like, oh, if we develop AI in the open, then we've kind of like leveled the playing field. But now they're like, well, we can't publish our weights. We can't, like, be totally open with how to develop AI, because if we're too open, it'll be too easy for all the bad actors to develop their own AI. And if they get there first and their thing becomes the super intelligent, force on Earth, then we'll be too late to stop them, kind of thing. So it's just interesting. But like, some of the people that were there at the founding, including Elon Musk, they've parted ways over this with OpenAI. So as much as I think OpenAI is great, like, there's a lot of controversy even just in that one company. So yeah, it's a tricky situation. There's the control problem. I mean, there's go down the rabbit hole, because it's super interesting stuff. Like, you can't control it. There's the explainability problem, which is related to the control problem. Like, you can't actually explain it. They call it a black box because, like, it's kind of a one-way thing. Like, you can, as this guy Eliezer Yudkowsky says, you don't, like, build AI, you grow AI. So you basically say, like, here's a bunch of information, like all the Google searches you could possibly do, and like all of Wikipedia and all the input sources, all the books that have ever been, printed, all the information that humans have ever collected and digitized and put on the web. That's the input. And like, you know, you can design the model to like take that input and try to make like, you know, useful output, but you don't really know what's happening in the middle. You know, like how does it do that? How does it go from like all this crap that we just threw at it using brute force? We just shoved a bunch of data in it. And then, you know, how does it get to that output? We can't map that like in a way that says like, it's, you know, this input will always have this result, or we can explain why we got this result and not this other result. Like they can't explain that. They can only just sort of like guess and check. And, you know, maybe that's getting better, but that's a big problem. And therefore you can't necessarily control it because you can't explain it. Like you can't understand it like fully. It's just by definition, you can't. So it's sort of this thing that nobody really understands, but it sort of works pretty well. And like, we just hope that it doesn't, you know, figure out how to like, you know, get control of a, you know, a power plant and shut it down or something. Like it could do that just for fun, and it'd be like, whoops, I don't know why I did that. I wasn't
like
trying to harm humans.
Yeah.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Yeah.
Sam.
Oh, Roy just said, so this was an announcement today. I didn't realize this. Today's announcement there. So OpenAI apparently is now for profit. That's interesting. Wow.
Once they go public with their stock, or whenever that's going to be like.
Yeah.
Sam, not to put you on the spot, I don't even know the outcome, but I'm very, very interested. This is a self-serving question. You had a photos recovery. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that and tell us how that went. First set it up for us and tell everybody, bring them up to speed.
So I'm going to disappoint everyone because, or at least you, because Jerry is, for the listeners not watching, Jerry's rolling his eyes at me. Only because we did not get to complete our task. And I'll give you the quick rundown of what happened there. We did have an appointment scheduled for
take us right from the very beginning. What happened?
For everyone's benefit, I had a customer, well, someone that worked for a company that we engage with. So this was a personal request. And they said they had an old 3-year-old backup of a photos library or iPhoto. They couldn't remember which, that they needed to restore. Now, 3 years later,
Crash Plan.
Carbonite had sent them a drive. Yeah. Had sent them a drive, and they tried and didn't know what they were doing, or tried and had limited success. So they reached out to me.
It's a bit like my attorney that I work with, you know, who wants to do everything himself. Yeah.
And so there was a little bit of a funny conversation between us as I was trying to troubleshoot. But essentially, when I first started working remotely with this person, I had them plug in the drive and it just wasn't showing up at all on their Mac. So I'm like, well, we're off to a bad start because this is not going to go anywhere. And I looked, and system information detected the drive, but nowhere could it be mounted. Disk utility was seizing up when trying to look at it. So I went back, and when I looked at the format, it said it was exFAT. So I was like, well, there could be an issue here with formatting. And I'm like, did you request like a macOS formatted disk? He's like, I don't even know. This was like 3 years ago. So I had him log into Carbonite, and just to see what I could find on the website. And there wasn't much help, but when I looked at trying to reorder a new disk, it showed macOS as a format to send it. So, and it was like $10. So I was like, do this. I'm like, get a new disk, have it sent over, and we'll reach back out and we'll do this again. So as of right now, we have time scheduled for this Friday, I think, which is just a couple of days away. So I should have something new to report on the next show. And in the meantime, you guys, I reached out to you guys for some advice because I had not done this in a while. So I was like, guys, I need help. And I got some good information from both Jerry and Joe.
Well, you got wrong information from me and right information from Joe.
I'm trying to be nice here.
Point this way.
So I got information from both of you. I was trying to decipher as to the way to move forward.
Call it as you see. You got bad information from me and good information from Joe. Just call it what it is.
Anyway, Joe had some advice to, if I recall correctly off the top of my head, the idea would have been to open up this old library, use it as the system library, and enable iCloud Photos to sync it back to the main library. Was that it basically, Joe?
That's basically it. Yep.
Yeah. And the other option that we could have used or could possibly come into play is Power Photos,
Mm-hmm.
which can manage multiple libraries. So
from Fat Cat Software.
Fat Cat Software, yes. So this remains to be seen as to what's going to occur. I was really excited to have something in the notes for you guys, but alas, we got nowhere fast in the time we were speaking.
So this is interesting because I know in previous versions of the Mac OS, and we're going to ask this question to Mr. Apple down here, but can Tahoe read an exFAT drive right now, or do you have to buy a plugin from one of those third-party manufacturers to allow us to see that?
That is a good question.
Okay.
We should ask Mr. Apple. Where is he?
So because this person, for $10, you're going to spend probably more on the software to be able to read exFAT. Because I know with to make it writable for NTFS, you have to buy a
right. I think exFAT is readable though.
Okay.
It's just we would have to copy it off the drive to do anything with it, I believe. But
right.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I mean, that was the plan all along, was to move it over. But there was a little bit of back and forth where this person was trying to give me some advice as to how I could find the files I was looking for.
Tell us more.
No, it was just
as much as you can.
It was just one of those situations where I was looking through stuff, and I think I was looking through the Carbonite online backup, and I went into the pictures directory, and he was like, "Are you sure you're in the right place?" And I'm like, "Oh, I don't like it when this happens." Wow. I'm like, this is where Photos stores their database. Like, but is that where it restores it to if it's backed up? And I'm like, yeah, it's pretty much going to go to the same directory. So like and then there was something else when it was like, but are you sure you're doing this? And I'm like, I really have to end this call before I lose
well,
it.
you should give them my reply, just as just like you're very good navigating the intricacies of the law. We are very good at navigating the intricacies of text. So let me sit back and let me do my job, man.
Yeah.
That is good.
It's a tough one to communicate that because, I mean, the person, Sam, they sound like they're maybe just a little anxious about the whole thing. You know what I mean? It's like they're asking a lot of like pointless questions because they're probably just like, I'm a little worried about this, or I don't know.
And I'm great. And actually, the person is very nice. It was just like that little exchange wasn't great for me, just because I can lose my patience quickly with questions like that. But yes, to your point, Joe, I think there's anxiety around this because there's a lot of history in that photos library that they're very anxious to get back. And
for 3 years, they're very anxious to get back.
That drive's been sitting on the desk for 3 years.
36 months. Of anxiousness.
I'll have an answer next show, I hope.
It's amazing that they made now ask me this or riddle me this. How did they maintain this account for how what was the relationship with Carbonite that you could just log in? Were they still paying Carbonite every month?
That's a good question. I'm assuming so, because their account, they logged in front of me and they were able to access the data and even request a drive. So,
but
they're probably paying.
What is the retention on Carbonite?
You mean like from 3 years ago? Is that still?
Is it even there?
Still available? It's a good question. I don't know. Actually. So this is something that we're going to find out once this drive comes in. Honestly, I spent maybe 20 minutes on the call because once this drive did not mount, then we really couldn't go very far.
I would, just to set expectations, if this person is, if we get an inkling of what this person's like, I would say
well, the data, and just to think about this a little bit more, the data has to be intact because he hasn't done a Carbonite back. He's not continually using it. So that's data that's static from that old computer.
But he's been paying them year after year.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
But that data, that iPhoto library presumably hasn't been changing. So it's just sitting there.
All right.
Right. That's the idea.
In theory, it's still good.
I feel better now about this.
Yeah.
I'm glad you do.
Those are tricky. Yeah, I mean, the benefit of using that method, which I remember when iCloud Photo Library basically came out, I'm pretty sure from the beginning this was supported by Apple, where if you have a whole library, whether it's in iPhoto or Photos, it's got albums and projects and all that kind of stuff in it. And then you have another library sitting right there alongside it that has its own projects and albums and things. there was no supported way to merge the two. Like there, Power Photos would like, I mean, was it Power Photos? Or iPhoto Library Manager was another one. They would
Well, that was
literally
the
use
same
Apple
company.
script.
They
Maybe
just
it's the same. They rebranded
yeah.
because it moved to Photos, whatever. But
Well, they were selling
yeah,
two for a while for the people who were still on the legacy
okay,
OS.
got it. I forgot
So
there's the
iPhoto
same.
Library, yeah. So then they finally morphed it into one, and I
Got
think
it.
it'll do both.
And what it would do back, at least in the iPhoto days and maybe even Photos, was like it would open one library and be like, okay, like, and it would use AppleScript to be like, tell me what or it would be like, click the first album in the list, and then it would like select all and export into a folder named according to that album name or whatever. And then it would like open the other library and then say, create an album, import the photos from this folder. It was using AppleScript behind the scenes basically to
Yeah.
do
Kind of
that.
impressive.
Yeah, exactly. But like then iCloud Photo Library came along, and the idea is, okay, maybe you have two different Macs and you want to merge them into one library. Well, Apple needs to support, albums at least, and I think they also support. I think they support no, only the first, only your original system photo library, I think, with projects in it gets like synced to iCloud. So I'm pretty sure you don't keep the projects like a slideshow or whatever, but you do keep the albums, which is the whole point. And so you just basically like add it into your iCloud Photos, and you're good. It just merges it all together. So
my
it
only
should work.
Yeah, my only concern is, since I have not done that before, is you're immediately working with their live data at that point. Because once you open up that other library, make it the system library, and then sync, then whatever happens at that point is out of my hands. So if it screws something up in like the syncing with iCloud Photos, I don't know, you could impact the current database of data. I'm sure it won't happen, but that's the scare, is that you're immediately working with their live data at that point, not
But
like a test bed.
Yeah, couldn't you log into the web view of Photos?
Yeah,
and
to
then
at least see what it's doing.
You can
well
take a
do a
look.
download. Download if you had enough space.
I wouldn't do
I
it
see what
that
you're
way. I
saying.
would just I would definitely
just
back
copy
up
the
first.
original.
Yeah, exactly. So you have the existing system photo library that's syncing with iCloud Photos. Like, assuming they have enough storage on their local machine, then that's already downloaded. Or you turn on download originals, and then just make a backup of that library file to an external drive or something. Yeah,
that reminds me of something, because I did ask him before we got started, I want to make sure you have a backup of your current data. And he said, yes, I do. But now I'm realizing, what if that backup is like Carbonite or some crap? Like, I want a local time machine or local backup of that data.
Separate. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you say Craponite?
Yeah, Craponite.
Yeah, I've never had good luck with Craponite.
But wouldn't that, like Sam's remote with this client, wouldn't that all take a lot of time? Like,
I would just going in, I would say, here's the Amazon link, buy this hard drive. When we get connected remotely, you plug it in, it's an SSD, and we'll just do it, like you do a 15-minute call, you get that going, and then you do the rest of the work later. But I would have a backup of the original and the.
So I'm making the snake noise. So let's assume that Sam did that, right? If he doesn't have download originals checked off in Photos, then the backup is not going to be a true backup of the photos, right?
Right. So he would first have to turn that on.
Yeah, you need download originals.
Well, I know you said that. I heard you say that. But what if there's not enough internal space on the internal drive to do that?
That's the
then
problem.
How do you, smarty pants? How do you solve it then, Joe?
Then you move your existing system photo library to the external SSD, and you make sure iPhoto is or Photos is opening that library, and that it's still marked as your system photo library. Because I don't know if you can just like move it out of the pictures folder and put it on the external and open it, and I don't know if Photos will know it's still the quote unquote system photo library.
Well, why would Sam even have the guy mess around with trying to do a local backup? Why wouldn't he just hold down the option key, navigate to the bundle, and just copy it over to the external drive and be done with it?
Well, no, you need the
we need to download originals still, right? So
oh, good point.
Yeah, the idea is like, okay, if you've got enough internal storage and you can turn on download originals and it's all synced and everybody's happy, then make a backup of that library. But if you don't have download originals turned on and you don't have enough space, you know, you're going to need to get enough space if you want a full local backup, because the,
this is why I
partial
tune in.
backup is not useful in that case. Otherwise, you know, if you have to restore back to that, you're only going to have thumbnails of a lot of the images.
Right.
So
but that could be a potential gotcha if you were listening to the show and we didn't bring this topic up or that nuance up, and you just figure, oh, I'm doing the right thing. I got the backup. I'm good to go.
I have another question then. Do either of you guys want a new client? Because I don't think I want this job anymore.
Really?
Try to point to Joe.
We've done. You are pointing. Nice. Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Finally got Jerry it. Over. That's Jerry over there. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. And there's Sam.
Big thumbs down.
Yeah. But I've done this a million times, you know, back in the day. And that's exactly what we do. Or we would log in on our, when we had our office back in the day, we would use one of our machines that has plenty of storage and log into their iCloud and get that, and they just use that as the host machine to do the whole thing. And ideally you have enough space for both. Basically you need I don't know, you need more than enough for both libraries, right? Because then you're going to have the original sitting here. You're going to have the, you know, the one that you want to restore. You have the current one, you have the original one to restore from, and then you're going to end up with a merged copy of both. So you need double or something like that.
Right. Yeah. I wonder if Power Photos has the ability, when it looks at the library, to identify that the originals aren't on there and will do a pull from the Apple website.
I wonder. Yeah. Or if it's just easier to do it with that because maybe you don't need as much local storage.
Yeah.
But in theory,
good luck, Sam.
Yeah.
Now we got to
you may not need all that space. I could be wrong. You may not technically need all the space, because if you have the original, it's already synced with iCloud. You know, yes, make a backup of that, but you could technically delete it. You know, and then just first change the other library and then delete that original one because it's already on iCloud. So it's going to pull it back down from iCloud as part of the merging process. I don't know.
I think it's a question of my risk tolerance is right there, because I could not do all that and just try what Joe gave me as steps, and if it doesn't work, then I'm screwed. But
so you're saying Joe gave you the wrong steps?
No. I'm going back to Jerry's advice, Joe.
Yeah. You like Jerry's advice better. It was wrong, but it is definitely easier.
I mean, that is a great point, Sam. That if Joe says you could go ahead and delete it, then you've only got one copy, and you're relying on that to be on iCloud.
Right, which is why I typically wouldn't do that at all, because I don't want to work without a net in general, let alone, you know, when you're changing every, you know, you're merging the whole library and stuff. But also it's better now at deduplicating. So part of this process is we've got your 3-year-old photo library, which has 50% overlap with your current photo library, but it has a bunch of stuff that you don't currently have. We want to merge the two and consolidate it into one. That's essentially what this process does, is it's going to match what's on iCloud and say, oh, I've already got that photo. I've already got that whole album.
Power Photos will do that as well.
I think,
deduplicate.
Yeah. And then there's the duplicates album or smart or special, you know, utility album or whatever they call it, where you go into duplicates in photos and it'll just show you all the photos that are duplicated and how many times. And
Sam, proactively, couldn't you just to save time, you know, and not spend hours and hours on this project? Couldn't you gain access to the iCloud library through a web browser and download the originals to, let's say, your server or something like that, just so at least you've got that in your pocket as a safety net?
I don't have that kind of access to the client's personal data, so I would have to at least spend a session doing that part of the job, which I might message him tonight and say, listen, we should take a step back for a moment. It's been 3 years. I think he can wait. So
exactly right.
You know, I just might want to have another quick session to see if we have all our ducks in a row, if he has a true backup, if it's downloaded originals, and if not, I'll simply tell him, I'll go back to my risk tolerance. I'll say, what's your risk tolerance, basically? And, you know,
will he understand that? Is he a type of client that would get that?
He's a smart guy. And But again, even if you say what's your risk tolerance and they say go for it, and then something goes wrong, they could still be like, "What did you do?" You know,
you're
like
still gonna feel bad. You know, you're not gonna be like, "Well, you said go for it." Like
and I'll have a Jerry story of how I didn't bill the client. You know,
right? So. Exactly. Yeah.
Touche.
Oh man, yeah, it's good. That's good. All right, rounding out the show here, we have a pop quiz. I've done a few recently. And the question is this, we've been, you may know the answer, but it may have changed.
I'm nervous already.
Yeah,
so in the Finder, you can force a folder to appear at the bottom of a list sorted by name by using a special Unicode character at the beginning of its name. Now, we used to put a space at the beginning, like way back when. That's not recommended anymore. I don't know what some of the other examples are, but I found that most of the ones that come to mind for me don't actually work. But let's see.
Why isn't it
I'm talking about the bottom of the list. Yeah, underscore I think is top of the list, right?
Okay.
So my question, sorry, I'm being confusing. Which characters sort at the bottom of the list? There's three that come up if you search this on Google.
Wow.
Okay, hands off. I'm not looking up.
Okay, this is what I was trying to remember. The bullet used to be, but that doesn't work anymore.
I was going to say
option 8. Oh, maybe. I don't know. Well, option 8. No, yeah, shift 8 is the asterisk. I don't know. You could test it, but option 8 used to be bottom of the list, and that doesn't do that anymore, unless I'm wrong. But this is why I think this whole thing came up, actually. Any other guesses?
Asterisk doesn't work.
Doesn't do it. Okay. Where does it sort at all? Like, does it sort in either direction or no?
That's
like
a good
top
question.
of the list, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. It jumps to the top, even above numerical values.
Yes, exactly. And I think option is the same. And bullet is the same. Is that the right term for it? Yeah, option 8, right? So that I thought used to be the bottom of the list, and now it's the exact opposite.
I'm going to be so mad when you tell me.
Okay, so there's 3, and they're not. Well, one you might have got. The Apple logo.
Really? Are you sure?
Shift option K. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
Shift option K.
No, I have to check that.
Bottom of the list.
Wait.
Bottom of the list.
Hold on. I just messed up.
I just tested it.
I used the wrong key.
We should
cool.
When we have how do you
why
like that?
Why does Apple go at the bottom?
I know, isn't that weird? And why would they move the ones from the bottom to the top? Like if it's been option 8 for so long, a bullet or like an asterisk was probably the same. Now they go to the top of the list, which is like, pick something, Apple. Okay, here's 2 more. Omega, the Omega character, option Z.
Option Z. Oh, yeah.
And I'll bonus tip maybe for the next show. I'll circle back to how I use the Omega character, but option
Omega
Z.
sounds.
And the last one, and since Roy is here, the Canadian syllabics
flag?
PO. What is that called? No, not the Canadian flag, although Trump will probably try to petition Apple to do that someday. Yeah, put the Canadian flag at the bottom of the list and, put the US at the top or something. But no, it's the it looks like a greater than symbol, but it's like bigger. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing what that is correctly.
What's the keyboard shortcut?
So it's it just says how to type. Copy and paste the character itself. So I'll put it in the chat. It doesn't
not helpful.
They didn't have that. There we go. So that's the character if you want to copy and paste it there. It's just this little greater than symbol.
Looks like a greater than.
But it's like not apparently.
It's
so
it's a greater than?
Yeah, exactly. It's the great Here's the greater than. So it's the greater than is smaller, and the Canadian syllabics PO, if that's how to pronounce it, because I don't know even what that means or if that's grammatically correct what I'm saying, but that's what Google told me to say, and that's the bigger one.
And that's always
so
right.
So there you go. Those are the 3 things that go to the bottom of a list. Like apparently that changed at some point, and it just was funny to me that I couldn't figure it out from memory, and I'm just like, what? How do you do this?
And why did you need this?
I don't know. I was working with somebody and they were like, oh, I want to, have this be at the bottom or something. And I'm just like, oh, option 8. No, that goes to the top. What the heck?
So it'll work with a file and a folder.
Yeah.
Yep. That's really interesting. I missed out. I haven't used the Apple logo as an icon in a while, and now I love it.
Oh, really? You're using it a lot? What are you using?
In the last
now today. I love it.
Today.
I'm using it
now.
again. Yeah, I'm starting to rename some files.
Nice. Yeah, it's funny. I don't know. I mean, this is how these things become a pop quiz. Is like I can't figure it out, and I thought I knew this, and I didn't, and so there you go, pop quiz.
This will be
Thank
on
y'all
the
for playing
advanced
along.
technical partner
That's
test
right, exactly.
on the new one for Tahoe.
So I'm gonna remember to talk about the Omega character
Look at Sam.
and how I
I could
use that
see
sometimes.
he's
What?
twirled his mustache.
I do not have a mustache, although after next month I might, if I do the no shave November.
Oh yeah, November. Yeah. Yeah, well, are you sorting your list now, Sam? As we speak here, you're just going through
and checking
putting in
it
all
twice.
the characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. All right, guys. Well, good talking to you. Thanks for hanging in there. It's a little bit late, especially for you guys, but we got our hour-long show out of this. So I thank everybody else for listening also and supporting us on Patreon. I will tease very quickly. There's a problem with PDF rendering that I've seen in Tahoe, and I'm not sure if it's on Sequoia as well. But Apple's PDF rendering has generally been really good, and I just found the first example where I can see that it's not rendering correctly, and it was an export from Canva. So if you're interested in why I was exporting from Canva, that's on a couple of upcoming Patreon shows where I talk about my monthly service offering, including an all-inclusive plan. And we talk about we talk again with Tim Pearson about his managed service offerings, who inspired us to set these up a while back. And so it was good to sync up with him again.
That's right. And
so
if you're not a Patreon participant and next week, you're going to hear a best of with Tim Pearson. You can actually hear the
new
latest
Tim
with Tim Pearson.
That's right.
By subscribing to Patreon. How do I do that, Joe? Where do I go?
Commandcontrolpower.com, commandcontrolpower.com, click on support, and then you can pledge monthly on Patreon.
Oh, okay. That's easy.
And I still love Tim, even though he made you guys late to meet with me.
Oh, his show that we recorded with him, it's a good one.
Stuff.
It's
I'm sorry I missed it.
Well worth the investment, ladies and gentlemen.
Absolutely, highly recommended. Yeah, some really cool tips in there about video with your clients and things. Yeah, so really actionable stuff. Yep, books, exactly. All right, thanks everybody for listening to another Command Control Power. We'll talk to you again in a week.